listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching romantic comedies for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Corey Cavan.
I'm Kevin Doyle.
My name's John Sieber.
And welcome to the beginning of our Patreon pilgrimage.
Ooh, I really like that.
Thank you. Through romantic comedies.
That's right.
We're starting with a banger, but this is the first, this is the beginning of a new era, a new world order.
Mm-hmm. What are we doing?
Clueless. We're watching Clueless.
We're watching Clueless.
This is what we have. We want to bring. We're venturing out into new worlds.
Yeah.
There were other things we could have. This is one of the most influential movies of the 90s.
Was there a TV show too?
They made a bad TV show.
Musical? Has there been a Clueless the musical?
That I'm not sure if there's been a Clueless the musical. It definitely spun off into a lot. It had to spin off into a sitcom and a bunch of books. I don't think a musical.
Oh, there were books too.
Yeah, there's books. Yeah.
What year did Clueless come out?
95.
1995.
1995.
That is insane. Paul Rudd's first movie.
Paul Rudd's first feature.
Okay.
Alicia Silverstone, huge actress at the time.
The girl I was in love with.
Yeah, Kevin, huge just on Kevin's list.
Where does she fit on your list now? She's still on the radar?
Number one.
Number one. Always.
No, she was. I mean, when I saw this movie, it was like a game changer. I saw it at Kenny Flick's house.
Oh,
what?
Kenny
Flick. Hashtag
Good.
Instagram Kenny Flick.
What a good follow on Instagram.
Great follow on Instagram. Hashtag fuck.
Hashtag fuck. Kenny Flick. And yeah, it was like this movie was just such a freaking
Dude, we got to get Flick on the phone.
dude. Let's get Flick on the
Let's get a Flick phone.
Amy Heckerling.
Amy Heckerling directed it.
Okay.
She directed a bunch of Gossip Girl episodes. So
Okay.
which makes sense that it was like kind of right in her wheelhouse.
Yeah, she also directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah,
which is wild. And she also directed Look Who's Talking.
Oh.
Wow.
And
Dude,
European Vacation.
From Selleck to Silverstone. Alicia Silverstone, was that?
From Selleck to Silverstone.
She also, Amy
her
Heckerling,
biography.
didn't she direct some Sex in the City? Did
I-
she direct
I-
some Sex in the
no.
City? Maybe she didn't.
What a legend. That's quite the career.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she especially with that voice, she directed The Office. She directed
That's right,
some
yeah.
episodes of The Office. Says Red Oaks, Baby Talk, Fast Times.
Oh, Red Oaks. Yeah.
And she followed up Clueless with Night at the Roxbury.
Oh.
What is love? It also, so the thing about Clueless too. Well, first of all, who's seen it? Have you seen it?
I think I have, but I don't remember anything about this movie at all. I think, I think I have, but I don't remember. 1995 was so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was like probably in the theater in 1995.
I haven't seen it since Kenny Flicks.
I saw it in
At
the
a
theater in 1995, and I've seen. This is one of the ones for me that is like a very rewatchable movie. And I've talked to Kevin about there's some of those that I had in my quiver that I've gone back recently and seen, and I was like, doesn't hold up. This one.
Wait, is Quiver like a movie watching app, or were you just using that as an expression?
It should be a movie watching app. I was using the expression.
I love it.
Pull out a movie out of the
For
quiver.
any of our patrons, please subscribe to or download Quiver.
Quiver.
It's our film app.
It's QUIVRR.
RR.
Quiver.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is John, entrepreneur and founder of Quiver.
Oh my gosh, my post about movies just got 7 arrows.
But this one holds up. It's a modern retelling of Emma.
The Shakespeare of rom-coms, Jane Austen.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Explain
That
this.
is true.
Explain this to us.
But
So,
is it
like,
true
what-
that she's Shakespeare? I feel like she.
It's
I feel like Jane Austen and who was the other one that did Jane Austen and Emily Bronte?
The Brontes did like Wuthering Heights and
what was the other movie we saw?
Jane Austen did Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah, Jane Austen did Sense and Sensibility. That's what I'm thinking of.
podcast where three guys talk about female authors.
Female authors.
Well, I mean, Jane Austen, I feel like this is one of the main, I don't know, just like Pride and Prejudice. Emma, Sense and Sensibility. That right there, that trio is just like so influential because all those movies were just about British like courting.
Yeah.
And like, so.
Yeah, this one, it's. I mean, we'll see it in there, but it's basically Cher, Alicia Silverstone's character, gives like a new girl a makeover to bring her into the popular girls.
Okay.
Which it's kind of like Mean Girls is probably kind of follows the same thing a little bit. Mean Girls is not like a direct retelling, but it's like a little bit of the same story. What is it? There's only 7 stories.
Do you remember what they coined in Clueless?
Fetch is never going to happen.
That's Mean
That's
Girls.
Mean Girls.
Oh, that is Mean Girls.
No, I don't remember anything about this movie.
As
Oh, how
if.
did-
As if.
That's right. As if.
As
How did
if.
I mess that up?
Oh,
And
can't
I want to know.
wait.
That's pretty fucking cool that before the internet you can create like people said as if.
Yeah.
I remember when the as if came out.
Yeah.
It was
Dude,
from
yeah.
seeing this, but I don't know if
I
they.
love pre-internet memes.
Yeah.
Did
You
I
guys
do
know,
that?
You guys know the internet was going strong at this time with chat rooms.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
I do that?
As if,
Um,
dude, that's such a burn.
I know.
yeah.
Someone's
totally.
excited about something.
Did you guys ever have to like? Did you ever get in trouble for saying that to your mom?
As if.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I think I probably did.
I remember the first time I opened like a Coke and it like sprayed everywhere. I was like, holy shit. Or no, it wasn't that. I was like, oh fuck. And my mom just looked at me and I just looked at her with like wide eyes. I was like, I never say that. Like that was the first time I ever said it.
Oh my god.
I never say that.
I never say that. I don't know where that happened.
Just kidding, Mom. I fucking do.
So the high school. We're in the high school.
We're in high school in California.
Okay.
We're in Beverly Hills.
Beverly
Okay.
Hills, super rich high school.
Okay.
A lot of cool girls, a lot of fashion.
Okay.
And then this new girl who we'll meet, Ty Frazier,
Okay.
moves there and befriends the popular girls.
And was Beverly Hills at the time like what I think of Beverly Hills now? Was
Yeah.
Beverly Hills 90210 out?
This
was
is
Yeah.
post 90210.
post 902. So Beverly Hills
It's
had
already set the table for Beverly Hills.
okay
For
and fashion.
Yep.
Young lust.
Yeah.
young lust, young cool fashion.
Attractiveness.
We'll see so many amazing high school portrayals of like coolness and like nerdy, wacky kids. I remember particularly the portrayals of skateboarders are so ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh,
They're the
yeah.
coolest kid, but it's just like as someone who actually was skating in the 90s, I was like, man, these guys are not like real skaters, but they're so attractive.
I feel like the 90s, like the only Asian people in movies were really smart. Only the
Yes.
smart kids.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see that.
We may see that. I think we also get some very like we get some fashion cool Asian kids, which like if you saw what is it? 21 Jump Street, the reboot 21 Jump Street. They go through I think it's that movie where they go through the lunch tables, and they're like, there's your nerd Asians, there's your cool Asians. And so that like I think you get some of that here because I think they do show a thing in this movie where you have the nerds, but I think that there's a diversity of cool kids of like that kid's a nerd, but he's still cool. I think that comes about.
That's
in Clueless.
interesting
I'm not
because
sure.
I
I don't
feel like-
remember if that's true or not.
I feel like there was like a nerd revolution, and I'm not talking about like Revenge of the Nerds, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
Oh yeah.
Magic the Gathering when I was in high school. That's Magic the Gathering's a bad example. Dungeons and Dragons, for instance. Like when I was in high school, I didn't play it, but like you didn't play that. Like
Right.
if you did play it,
You were a
hit it,
loser.
or you were a quote unquote loser.
Yeah.
And now it's like mainstream popular culture, Stranger Things. And I wonder if this is pre like
That?
like gaming being cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's an internet thing. I think some of that is an internet thing. Like the rise of nerd culture came, I think, through 2010s
Yeah.
internet.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, this is definitely pre that.
Pre cell phones probably being everywhere.
Yeah, there's probably cell phones in here, but definitely pre everyone has cell phones. There might be a car phone in this movie.
Okay.
Also, this movie
Oh,
seems,
there's definitely some car phones.
Yeah, there are. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I think there's I think this movie is a very MTV movie, like a very MTV feeling movie. Like this feels like when MTV Spring Break was hot.
Height of
Yeah.
MTV.
Height of MTV. Yeah.
This
TRL.
This is very interesting because it's like even at the time, I mean, obviously its influence I think has grown, and it says it made $60 million or something, 58 million, which back then I feel like you would hope for a movie like this to make 300.
Yeah.
But Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's a good Ebert.
Yeah.
This is a good Ebert.
Peter Travers gave it 4 out of 4 stars.
Who's Peter Travers?
Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Are those guys on Quiver?
But this is kind of
Trav
interesting.
Archer on Quiver.
It came out around the same time as Kids,
Oh.
which is just
other
like
high school movie.
a high
Is that
school
Harmony
movie.
Korine?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
dark as fuck and
Yeah.
drugs and AIDS and
Uh-huh.
it's sex and everything. But this is interesting because he said the materialism in Clueless is almost as scary as the hopelessness in Kids.
Huh.
So it's interesting for film critics to like, even at the time, look at this as like a great piece of art, not
Yeah.
just like a MTV movie. It was
Yeah.
kind of both.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder what that person would say about Instagram right now. If there's
Yeah.
hopelessness in these
Oh
kids,
my
like,
gosh.
yeah.
what about the kids who are on TikTok?
It's just like, wait a few years, Peter.
Everything is cyclical because I'm sure this is exactly how like my grandparents thought when like our parents were listening to the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like they're doomed.
Yeah.
Interesting thing going into this about that too is that Amy Heckerling said that, because this time she's a well-known director, and she said she went to 20th Century Fox and they said, we want you to do something about teenagers, and she was like, I'm so tired about doing stuff about teenagers, and they said, we want you to do something about the in crowd, and she said, I'll do it. I'll make fun of them. So we developed a script, and then she actually
Wait, she wanted to make fun of them?
yeah,
Okay.
and
As
then-
if.
as if
As if.
and she went to actual high schools and studied like teenagers, and she was because with As If, she was like, we want to see how they authentically appropriate slang, we want to look
Yeah.
at trends, so they did a lot of studying then.
It's pretty lit.
It's pretty lit, bro.
I'm gonna be very curious to watch this and then reminisce about some of our high school experiences and see if there's any similarities between this and what maybe we lived through. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in. I haven't seen this movie since 1996 at a sleepover at Kenny Flick's house.
Man.
And then
Kenny.
he had a body pillow that I pretended was Alicia Silverstone.
Was it one of those WWF wrestlers, my little buddies or whatever?
No, it was just a big old body pillow. Just
Like a pregnancy pillow? Like what was a
just like one of those
sixth
really
grader
long-
doing with a pregnancy pillow?
a really long pillow.
Yeah, it's a pregnancy pillow.
Oh, I didn't know that. He just had it at his house.
It was just
It was in his bed?
No, I was on the bottom bunk. He was on the top bunk.
And then you thought it was Alicia Silverstone? What did you do to that pillow?
Humped it. This is before I'd ever masturbated too, by the way. This is I fell in love with Alicia Silverstone pre-masturbation.
Was he on the top bunk? Like, did he know that you were humping his pregnancy
He
pillow?
was. I wasn't humping it. I was just.
You just said you were humping
Well,
it.
I wasn't. I was just cuddling it.
Were you like fake kissing it?
I don't remember. He was pretending his was Lacey Chabert.
Who's Lacey?
he's the
Chabert?
Lacey Chabert.
She was in
That is quite a name.
Lacey Chabert. I think she's in Mean Girls, but no, yeah, Lacey Chabert.
Your memory.
is she in Mean Girls?
She was in Party of Five, All My Children.
Yeah, it's Party of Five. She was in Party
Your
of Five.
memory on these things is fantastic.
She
Let's
was-
go watch Clueless Part 1. We're going to be watching this in 3 acts.
Yeah, 3 acts.
So probably in, how long is the movie? Like an hour and a half?
Hey Siri, sign me up for Quiver. I'm sure it's like close to an hour and a half.
It's 97 minutes.
yeah, 90. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll probably watch like the first 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And
Let's
we'll
watch
be
the
back.
first act. Bye.
Bye.
Clueless. Directed by Amy Heckerling. Shallow, rich, and socially successful Cher, played by Alicia Silverstone, is at the top of her Beverly Hills school's pecking scale. Seeing herself as a matchmaker, Cher first coaxes 2 teachers into dating each other. Emboldened by her success, she decides to give hopelessly klutzy new student Ty, played by Brittany Murphy, a makeover. When Ty becomes more popular than she is, Cher realizes that her disapproving ex-stepbrother, played by Paul Rudd, was right about how misguided she was. And she falls for him. And now, back to the boys.
We are young.
We are free.
Na-na-na.
Nice and clean.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Y'all, I'm loving the start of this movie so far.
Yeah.
So
This is
good.
insane. This is so fun.
Man, when movies are good, they're better than TV shows.
That is true.
I mean, that's my opinion.
No, that's a weird place where we're at now, where we're in the TV show era, but we have lost having like great. We maybe haven't lost it, but you're right. When you have this like one encapsulated thing that just keeps going, it just takes off.
Well, because
like the energy of it is so good.
The energy is right there, right from the get go. And something that we didn't talk about is the soundtrack in this movie.
Yeah,
so good.
That song we were just singing, that is in it. That's I forget what band that is, but like there's No Doubt is in it.
Mm-hmm.
2 Radiohead songs. Beastie Boys are later on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like good 90s MTV music.
Yeah.
And that's also before Radiohead was huge, and it was before No Doubt was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like everyone's icon. There's so many iconic things in this that at the time were just things in a movie.
Yeah, I wrote down already the As If, which we talked about in the topper.
Yeah.
But also the Holding Up the W, whatever.
Yeah.
Holding Up the W, whatever.
Man, this movie, like
Whatever.
I haven't seen this movie since 1995 in the theater. And do you know what made me immediately remember that I have seen the movie is the computer where she's picking out her outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is the moment I saw that in the very beginning, and her driving in her Jeep and her father, I was like, I very much remember this movie.
Yeah.
There's definitely there's like so much energy that goes through to carry you through. It's almost like the beginning of the movie is like a few different montages just keep happening, and her setting the table of like, this is what my school is like, these are what my friends are like, these are what these other people are like.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that she is the like center of the whole world, even though she's got all her friends and stuff around it. It's great.
So I'll do a quick recap.
Do a little recap of where we are.
We have Cher. She is living in Beverly Hills, very privileged life. Her dad's a high power litigator. She's got her Jeep and her friends and her fashion. Everything's going great for her. Her grades are slipping. Her debate class, she's got a C in. So she goes and petitions her teachers to get better grades. And in doing so, she hooks up her debate teacher with, I think, like her science teacher, and it greatly improves her grades. And in self-reflection, she realizes how she did something good for the world. The students are applauding her. Everyone's spirits are higher. So Cher meets a new transfer student who's a bit frumpy, a bit different than the normal Beverly Hills vibe. And she decides to take this person on as her personal project to enhance her life in some way or another.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. We finished. They just did like a makeover and just like did their Buns of Steel introduction to Cindy Crawford's toning VHSs, which so dated, so perfect. And here we are.
Are you familiar with, because the project is played by Brittany Murphy? Do you know anything?
I do know. I know Brittany Murphy, but there's like something tragic that happened to her, right?
She died. I mean, there's like a documentary about it.
Yeah.
But she has like a mysterious thing around her death.
Yeah.
But this was like her breakout role.
Yeah. This was before.
Yeah,
she was in 8 Mile after this. She was in a bunch of other movies.
And then Stacey Dash, who's killing it in this movie.
Dion.
She was like kind of right wing type person recently.
Yep.
But then she is in Sicko Mode. The song Travis Scott says, Stacey Dash, most of these women ain't got a clue. So,
Perfect.
But this is a thing that I think is pretty crazy, because we're like going into this storytelling world of this genre of movies.
Yeah.
And this is obviously has older source material. But Big Fat Greek Wedding had the same thing of like frumpy to, she even says frump.
Yeah.
She was like, I had a frumpy face. And this has that same thing. And it's just interesting that My Fair Lady is that. Have you ever seen My Fair Lady? Which is based on Pygmalion. And this is Jane Austen. But it's just funny that these stories are like, I don't know, people keep on going back to like, I made a change. And then this is someone else who comes in and is a matchmaker or makes a change, which is a huge
another huge theme.
theme. That's been around and continue to be.
Yeah, totally. It also, I just saw that it was a Paramount movie, and Paramount owned MTV which makes
That's
maybe
so
sense that
funny.
it feels like an MTV movie.
Yeah, and then
it's also really freaking good. It's also
Yeah.
Scott Rudin produced it. So like it's just this like powerhouse of it, like the tone of it feels so much like an MTV thing.
That makes sense because then they could get the songs that it's like, who are the cool bands coming out?
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
That's
And
why
be
the
like-
soundtrack's so good.
Yeah. And it's like no, don't do this band that's like big. Do these underground bands, because a lot of those bands besides Radiohead and No Doubt, it's not like they're huge now, but their
Right.
songs are still
Right. Oh,
pretty
wait,
iconic.
do you want to know some wild trivia before we get into some plot stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. To play Cher, who do you give like one guess as who you think, and then I'll tell you who all auditioned or who was considered for Cher.
I think Alicia Silverstone plays Cher.
Okay, you're right. She does. She does.
Like who else auditioned for it?
Yeah. Who else was considered?
Oh man, I'd like have to think about that age group.
Yeah.
Or like back
If
then.
you think
I
of
think
big
like
90s
I think like
actresses.
Tori
Jennifer
spent
Love-
like the 90210 people.
90210.
Jennifer
people.
Love Hewitt.
So Angelina Jolie,
What?
Carrie Russell. I guess you got to think this is mid 90s
Yeah.
people. Angelina Jolie, Carrie Russell, Reese Witherspoon, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Reese
And-
Witherspoon would have crushed this.
Yeah, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar had to turn down the role because of scheduling. So it went to Alicia Silverstone. Okay, now
That makes total sense.
the Paul Rudd character. Any guesses to who auditioned?
McConaughey.
McConaughey.
I get like a Zach Braff vibe.
Zach Braff?
Because I saw your phone. I saw it before. Sorry.
It was,
But
Zach
it does
Braff.
make sense.
And Ben Affleck.
Ah,
And
Wow.
then, but this is gonna blow your mind. The people that auditioned to play the one that Donald Faison plays, her boyfriend. Is that Murray? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrence Howard
Oh gosh.
and
I've heard-
and I want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Terrence Howard. Who else do you think? Mid 90s black actor, funny.
What's his name?
Jamie
Rush
Foxx.
Hour.
Who?
Rush Hour. Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Who else?
Jamie Foxx.
Chappelle.
Oh my!
She's clueless.
Hey, girl. Hey, woman. Hey, woman. Listen, actually, when you say woman, I'm subverting the masculinity.
All right. So
anyway,
back
to the
themes that I want to talk about. The first thing that I wrote down is like the vocabulary used in this movie. Is that paying homage to the original movie that it's based off of?
Well,
Sorry, the original story, Emma. Yeah.
when they do some of those, they have things where Donald Faison's character is just like says like a very wordy thing, and I was like, I do wonder if that is.
Because when they were talking about, well, we need to talk about Walsh, Sean.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed that he's
Inconceivable that he's in this movie.
It's so perfect. He plays the debate teacher, and he's fantastic. But when she's talking about like him and his relationship and the lack of women, like she's the narrator, and she's using these words that are so like the vocabulary is very different than the way she's even. I mean, I guess it's just different than like you'd think of like a Beverly Hills.
I agree. I feel like that's
Space
like
cadet, she's kind of like a space cadet, but then she's like using stuff like he was brutally rebuffed, sublimely happy. It's minor ducats at unhappy trolls that exist, unequivocal sex invite. It's like using very rich descriptive language where like someone like her character I don't think of would in normal. And I wonder like why they made that choice.
Well, they also said this is a really good school. And it's like, and I think that maybe that is one of the reasons. I mean, I feel like that's kind of when a good director or writer comes in, that it's like, why are certain high school movies above the rest? Why is Superbad above the rest?
But like she plays a character who's like known for like as if whatever. Like that's when you think of Clueless, you think of her being an airhead who is privileged and just says like one line zingers.
Yeah.
But she's using like a really adult like
Yeah.
vocabulary.
It's like a subversive. I mean, this is pre-Legally Blonde, I guess, but I think that probably also happens in Legally Blonde.
Oh, that's why I thought of Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah. But it feels the same.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you think I'm an airhead, and I like kind of act like it, but actually, you like see where she's going. Which I don't know. Maybe that is an Emma thing. I'm not sure if that is an Emma thing of like when like women in society and how they're judged one way, but they're actually another way. That I'm not sure of.
Well, I know when I've heard Judd Apatow talk about Freaks and Geeks, and he's like, this is what high school was really like. It wasn't jocks and nerds. There was like this other thing, and the geeks in that are really stupid. Like the geeks are not good at school in Freaks and Geeks. And I do think that there makes it something interesting that she can be an airhead who's also smart, and it gives an extra layer that you're like, oh, I thought I knew this person, because you can't just make fun of your protagonist the whole time. Be like, not only are they kind of self-centered, they're also dumb.
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel like that is in the school, but with your protagonist who you need to like really like and trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because you're kind of following this person who's like has all these skills, is kind of like a wonderkind, and also is really into fashion, seems airheady, you know, like is interesting to follow.
Yeah, and I guess that's like a preconceived thing that you as the watcher have, that if someone likes spending their time at malls or driving like souped up Jeeps or like even lives in like a big Beverly Hills house, that they're not smart. And like she's all of those things.
Yeah.
Even though her grades like aren't great, but her dad respects the fact that she was able to argue her grades up. And that's like, he like is even more impressed than her just getting good grades.
It's kind of like street smarts over
Totally.
book smarts.
And like, I agree. Like thinking of that, like I would much rather have my kid be able to argue their like better grades than actually get good grades. Cause I'm like, one is regurgitating information and one of them is applying things that you know.
It's way more of a real life skill.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the mom, she has a big picture of her mom in the foyer, and she talks to it. And it's kind of like a sweet thing. They don't dwell on it, but her mom is passed, which quickly makes you relate to a person.
Also,
but she died in a plastic surgery accident.
She died in a liposuction thing.
A routine liposuction.
Yeah.
And then Corey, you brought up that all like randomly everyone in the high school will just have random like bandages on their chins or nose.
Yeah.
Or
There's all
necks.
these like plastic surgery, like nose job scars that's like never really pointed out. It's always someone in the background.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Something else that we all discussed and kind of took us back was the mall. There's a scene at the Pavilion. I'm not sure if that's a big mall in Beverly Hills, but you know, the kids hang out at malls. The high school students hang out at malls anymore.
I don't.
I've heard the malls in my hometown are pretty depressed.
Really?
But it's interesting. There's like, and they have lunch outside. They have cell phones in this.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
But
of
it's
cell
like the
phones.
mall was
Cell
like,
phones are already a trope. They're already like
When
common
all-
enough for gags where like, a cell phone rings and all three people answer.
yeah.
And maybe that would be just something that would happen in like a really
like affluent place.
affluent place,
Yeah.
but it's like it had to exist enough for it to be funny. You know?
Yeah, one of the things that they just start getting into, because it is pretty positive at the top, but there is the very beginnings of the high school parts that is like, here's these people, here's who you associate with, here's who you hang out with, as she's teaching the other girl. But I don't know. I just remember the mall being like the place where we all would go and walk around in the same groups and be there. The nerds would
totally.
be there.
Yeah.
You know, and you would just walk around and
Dude, I
buy one thing.
Yeah, I remember like going to Gap to the sale rack and buying a shirt for like $9 and thinking it was the coolest thing ever. And then I remember we would be in like a pack of guys and we would see another like group of girls and then we would just sort of like follow each other.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, hey, it's hey, how are you? What school do you go to?
Yeah.
Okay,
the,
bye.
The mall was like the first place that I felt like my own independent. Like, it's like the first place where my mom would drop me off with friends and like be like, all right, I'll pick you up in an hour. And you're just like, I can just look at I can just go to Spencer's and just look at like fake dog shit if I want.
It's pretty wild when you think about the mall was like a safe place to actively loiter.
Yeah.
Like when your parents dropped you off there knowing that you're not going to run errands.
No.
Like you might buy something, but also you're a child, so you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna go walk around.
A few bucks for food court if you need it.
Go get some like orange chicken. Orange Julius, orange chicken.
Yeah, some orange chicken samples. Just go walk back and forth until they stop giving them to you.
Go to Manchu Walk and just get so many of those.
It's so crazy that we probably all had different food court Chinese places, but we all got the same free orange chicken samples.
Yeah.
So mine was Panda Express.
Oh yeah, I think we had Manchu Walk. We got Panda Express later. But yeah,
they won the franchise wars.
yeah, exactly. That's who rewrites history. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I did hear a story recently. I don't know how true it is that they were saying malls are coming back because of the experience stores. That like how you go to like a rainforest cafe because it is this like built out thing, and like how a bunch of places like how there's the Krispy Kreme in Times Square now, which like you really just go there because they have a selfie wall. You get to watch all these donuts made. So it's like a lot of brands are trying to just have stores for their IP experience. So you would go, and then that's going to be the next thing for mall. It's like you go like download their app and take pictures. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. There's like a Foot Locker experience store.
As the Foot Locker right next to me just closed.
Yeah, well, it's because they're opening up a big mall. Yeah, I don't know, but I bet kids don't hang out at the mall.
Is her high school experience at all similar to what you two went through in high school? Were there groups and cliques and divisions as much in your high school as there are in your high school as there are in this movie? She says in the beginning, like, this looks like a Neutrogena commercial. And she's like, but it's actually my real life. And Katie and I often talk about this because we had very different high school experiences. And, you know, I was curious to hear if yours is similar, if there's any similarities to this movie.
There were in mine. I mean, like, I went to a rural high school in North Carolina that was like adjacent to a bigger city. It was like 20 miles into like the sticks. But we did I don't know if it was a unique experience or not, but one thing that was interesting about mine was that we had a lot of groups like this, and a lot of the groups really did get along. There was like a cow pasture behind our high school, so there was a lot of like farmer families there. So there was like a big agricultural thing, and then there were a lot of kids whose parents had just moved outside the city lines, probably for taxes. So there's like wealthier suburb kids, and then like the makeup of different things was different, but we definitely had pronounced groups. There were skaters, there were like the alternative kids, there were like sort of the party like wasted kids, there were the redneck kids, or like there was like we had a legit ag department. There were kids that like, I don't know if they did rodeo, but they were like into that. But there was an actual mixing. I remember going to a party at senior high school, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're all here together. And everyone knows their own identity, but and I don't even know if there was like actual mixing in terms of dating amongst it, but there was definitely like that guy's in this group, this girl's in this group, but we all kind of know each other.
Yeah.
And I do remember one of the popular girls, Amy, she had a white Jeep like that. And
that's so funny.
And they like rode around in that white Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there was definitely, it was pronounced at our school, but I guess, I mean, I'm trying to compare it to the movie because it's just so, if I watch this movie, even in high school, I wouldn't be like, that was our experience. I'd be like, yeah, there's like football people, and there's like definitely like art people. Like all these stereotypes do take place. Because I remember there was a cute girl that was like more of like an artist, and she kind of in high school ramped up her like shyness when she got into like painting and stuff. And now she's like, once she got to college, she was like, was more like normal. And I remember it was like, so I feel like the jocks ramped up some of the jockiness, and then some of the art type girls were like a little more like shy, or like, oh, I'm gonna wear glasses, you know? But yeah, I mean, I feel like high school movies were such a big thing, and still are with TV shows and stuff now, that because it is the American experience.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
What about you?
Whenever I watch a like high school movie, it is identical to my high school experience.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like where I grew up, where I went to high school in North Shore, Chicago. I mean, the Mean Girls high school is based off of my high school.
Oh,
and so
wow.
it's like, it's literally what they show in these heightened, exaggerated movies
Yeah.
is exactly what I think like lived through in high school.
Like you went to big American high school.
I went to big Americans, like suburban high school with your cliques and your groups.
Yeah.
And like they sat at the table. Like you could do an overhead shot of the cafeteria and like label all the tables and the people would look like it. And like there was a group of girls that lived in a house like hers, drove a car like hers, and then, dressed like her in my high school.
Well, that's one of the things about, I think, this movie that was, maybe we should see if there's like interviews or whatever, but seems like a tightrope to walk because you're setting up a character who should be, for a lot of people's experience, like the share of their school, like you pair that with being kind of mean, kind of catty, kind
totally.
of, which kind of happens in Mean Girls, but there's all these cliques and they're like, these are burnouts, like don't do that, which is kind of just good advice, like don't
Yeah,
do
when
drugs.
she was telling, I don't know, Brittany Murphy's Taya, what was her?
Ty.
When she was just like, it's okay to occasionally smoke at a party, but if you're wasted all day
Yeah.
long, that's not good. And it's like, I could see someone being like, why are you trying to take this woman like in as a project? And it's like, you're actually giving her good advice.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, don't be wasted all day. You'll throw your life away.
Yeah.
And now we have shows like Euphoria where
Yeah.
that's cool. Wow.
Get out of here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. It's cool to do drugs, huh? Okay, great.
I mean, in kids, don't they try and give each other AIDS?
They don't try.
Well, they do.
They do. They succeed. Whether they tried or not. Oh, they
succeeded.
they nail it.
Which they compare this movie to kids, and it came out at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So
totally.
you don't want to.
I don't see it yet. Maybe something will change, but so far I'm just like, I'm not only loving this movie, but I agree with it on principle too. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's like, she can't change the hand that she's dealt, and she's just trying to help people.
Well,
Yeah.
I do wonder where it's headed because so far, we're kind of, we were wondering when to pause it, and we paused it like right after she sets Ty up with Elton, who is he went on. I think he was in. I think he was was he if he was in Waitress, which Waitress is a great movie.
The Sarah Bareilles musical movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Love that musical.
we were figuring out, is this the end of Act 1? And it is the end of Act 1 because there's kind of like
he is in Waitress.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
great in Waitress. He's an abusive husband in Waitress.
Whoa.
But because this could be the end of a 30-minute movie, that it's like the setup happens and then she's happened. So what we need to happen now is like, what will be the journey for at least, what will the conflict, because she's about to enter something that it's like, oh my gosh, my life is fucked.
Yeah.
Like whether she can't drive anywhere anymore, or what gets taken away from her and then gives her something to overcome. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs to go from normalcy to chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we need to see what her character is in chaos, because right now it's just been normalcy for her.
Well, yeah. I guess if you're looking at like Story Circle or whatever, that something's inviting her into like a new place in her life, which I guess the normalcy was that she lives in this rich mansion with her dad, and then whether
She's able to manipulate, she's able to solve
Yeah.
things. Like she is the queen of her domain.
yeah.
I found my calling. End of story. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but what about,
Yeah.
it worked out for these, you're 2 for 2.
Right.
What happens when anything fucks up in your life?
Right. Like she was in a place of comfort and then goes into this thing of trying to do this, and something's going to go awry now that she's like taken on this project.
What goes awry?
I'm not sure, but my question for you is, Kevin, who selects these movies, why did this movie come up as a romantic comedy? Like, if we're the Bradshaw boys who are dissecting romantic comedies, what is it about this movie?
Well, I think the reason why it resonates super high
What isn't it?
is because it I don't know, it's a romantic comedy because it's Emma. It's based on that, but I think culturally this is super iconic, and it's not. I wanted us to jump into a new world and like kind of get
new world.
That is
Don't
because
you dare close your eyes. Hold your breath, it gets better.
But I thought it's like we can do You've Got Mail and be in New York where like meet cute between two people or but I wanted us to get out, and then this movie resonates still because I think all the stuff we talked about, like they are firing on all cylinders. So far it is because she sets up two people, so it's literally about like a walking Cupid who goes around looking for where matches will happen. And I think that and I think that's interesting because it's like, what did she see in the two teachers that they could be compatible, and then they are, and then they're a little happier. And I
mean, she also has set a hard line about her dating life. Being she does not date high school boys. And so there might be some good conflict there where she falls in love with a high school boy, or something happens where she's into a high school boy and changes her mind from her established self. I don't know. I don't remember what happens.
I remember one scene.
I remember what happens.
Is it the scene that you were thinking of when you were humping Kenny Flick's body pillow?
If I was humping my body pillow while watching Spartacus, it would be that.
Wait, what?
That's one of the scenes in the movie.
Oh.
She's watching Spartacus with a guy.
Yeah, I forget about it.
Got it.
That's all I remember from the rest of the movie.
I was very lost by that statement. I was like...
I remember that. I remember pretty much what happens for the rest of the thing, but I think...
I don't, so I don't want to know what her
I'm not going to... I won't... Yeah, I won't tell you. It's funny. Her conflict will be interesting to dive into because it's different... It's different than, I think it's different than like a main character conflict. Like I think the fact that, and it might be this thing of a person who in their life is on the sidelines helping others. And I think part of it is that it's like, no, this is also about you.
Yeah.
Like you have to pay attention to these things. It's not just about you sitting back and pulling the strings. Like you have to be active in your own life. So I think it eventually comes to a head for her with that. But I don't think it's as overt as like a meet cute rom-com. It's not just like, oh, I like this guy, but he lives in Seattle. Like it's not that.
I know apparently the new version of Emma with Queen's Gambit girl is supposed to be very good.
Really?
It's supposed to be like very, very good. So
Nice.
Is it a TV show or a movie?
It's a movie.
Okay.
It came out.
Anna Taylor-Joy?
Yeah. It came out like a year and a half ago, maybe right before Corona.
Okay. She's a great actress.
Yeah. And I heard a interview with the director, and the director was like, no one, if you do Hamlet again, which by the way, they're doing another, I think they're doing, they just did Macbeth.
That was awesome.
Joel Cohen did Macbeth. And she said, she was like, why, if someone does Macbeth or Hamlet again, no one says anything. There's like one version of Emma out there. Why can't I do another? And it was interesting because I didn't even remember this.
Yeah.
That this was a version of Emma. But
I'd be curious to see, maybe next time, I would be curious to see every other movie that's kind of influenced by Emma or has Emma undertones.
yeah,
Emma tones.
we'll figure that out for the next step.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us in Patreon.
Thank you so much.
You all are the reason why we do what we do. Thank you. Please keep listening in for part 2 and 3 of Clueless coming in the next couple weeks. Also, we want to invite you to help us choose our movies. So if you have a movie that you think we should watch, that we should put our eyes on, make sure to let us know in Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be part of this process.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
As if.
Whatever.
I'm clueless. Later, taters.